So again, welcome to July's Key to Success series, hashtag K2SQP. My name is Esther Lavielle. I'm the Implementation Manager here at QuestionPro. If you have any questions or comments or would like to do some follow-up after training, you are more than welcome to reach out to me directly. My email address is right to the bottom right-hand side, and you can also access or ask me a quick question on Twitter as well. So let's go ahead and get started with this month's topic. So this month's topic, we're going to focus in on custom variables and how to use them as part of your insight solutions or part of your research or survey projects. And we'll also take a look at conversation forms and do a brief overview of a new way to collect data and feedback, and to show you how easy it is to use. And it's also included right now with all licenses across the board. I'm very excited to be able to present this to you because we do have a lot of customers that are interested in custom variables, or maybe they've used it just a little bit and just want to know a little bit more. And so today we're really going to focus in on presenting, what are custom variables and what are some practical applications of it to your survey. And we're going to also do a live demo of the top 4 ways our customers actually use custom variables. So when you walk away today, you can start applying these variables to your surveys today. And we'll also go over the conversation forms, what they are, and also live demo that as well. So once you're done with the training today, you can start using the forms right away. And last session will be any Q&A from the audience. So again, use the chat box to the right side, and I will go ahead and take a look at those towards the end, and we should be able to wrap this up hopefully under an hour. We are also going to record this session. We will be able to send the slides as well as a new e-course that goes along with custom variables. So anyone who would registered or anyone who has attended can have access to all this training material, and you'll be able to follow up and use that as a reference as you begin applying these new concepts to your existing surveys. So let's go ahead and jump into Custom Variables 101. So what are custom variables? A lot of times I like to think of custom variables as being a descriptor of ways to describe something or the way you profile things. In technical terms, they are small data units or small storage units of data that we collect either through the profiling information that you have of a respondent, and it could also be transactional, geographical, historical profile information. So the idea is that, using this type of information, you can apply them within the responses of a survey, within the answers, or even the questions of the survey. And the big benefit of that is reducing the need for any redundant questions. So if you already know certain things about your respondent, such as their customer, and you know that they've purchased a car with you within the past 6 months, and you know exactly what type of car they purchased, how much it costs, instead of asking that question, you will be able to already apply that information in the back end with your data and be able to ask them, additional questions in terms of what was their shopping experience? Were they satisfied? Did they find the salesperson helpful? Did they find the financing process easy to do with your dealership or something like that? And so instead of asking them, what car did you buy, how much did you spend, was it all this and that, you can focus in on some of the harder hitting questions that will benefit your business, and then use those custom variables or profiling information, transactional geographical information, for filtering and segmentation. And then you'll be able to focus in on particular profiles, particular geographical locations, and be able to deep dive into those things that will make a huge difference and help you discover additional insights that you may have not uh, known that you could do had you not applied these custom variables before. The other thing about custom variables in terms of what you can do is that it can be a part of, it could be very extensive, can be a part of any API integration. So if you're using tools like HubSpot, Salesforce, Marketo, or anything like that, or even your own proprietary database, and you need to have that information filtered over to our system or pulled over, within, we can apply those to the custom variables and use that information as a way to filter your data, and then also send that information back to the appropriate fields or columns in your own database as well. So that's one thing. So you can get very extensive. If you are using a tool like a panel management system like QuestionPro's communities, you can also pull those profiles into your surveys and apply those and send those back as well. And also with any third-party sample firms, if you're using tools like QuestionPro Audience or anybody else like Research for Good or Peanut Labs or any of them, you can also have those integrated as well. So there's lots of integration available throughout, and also you can continue to use that profiling information for further segmentation and filtering. The last thing you can also use with custom variables is you can actually apply them to scripting. So you can use questions and answer options that they have already answered within a survey, and apply custom scripting to create very complex surveys if you would need to. A lot of times people, when they're first starting out, they just don't know about that. And so we like to let them know that, you can apply it very simply just from the back end and use it in the data. But then you can get more advanced. You can use third-party tools. You can integrate with your existing databases or other vendors that have profiling information or transactional information. Or you can also apply it within the survey itself, so the experience of taking the survey is customized to each respondent and the information that you already know about them. So exactly, again, where can you use custom variables? So we have tons and tons of places. Again, we can do email lists, invitations. You can apply them to survey links through external reference variables. You can add them to question text, answer options, headers, footers. You can pre-populate comment boxes, and you can apply them to logic options, skip patterns, um, and pretty much anywhere in the survey system, these codes that you apply can be used. So from a welcome invitation, thank you message, email notifications, automated redirects, sample, filtering in segments, cross tabulations or banner tables, Salesforce integration API, and more. So if you have not used custom variables before and you have a list of people that you'd like to use and you have existing information, this is a great opportunity to start applying those now and really stretch the value of what you get from QuestionPro and what we can do for you. So some tips about using custom variables. You can upload up to 255 custom variables. That is a lot, and that is 255 variables per survey. So can you just imagine if you have 10 surveys and you need a lot of variables, we can collect it. And again, it can be a variation from the profile information you have to geographic location to the information or in terms of responses that they get. And it's just a matter of being able to organize it out in a way so you know what variables or columns are being used for profiles, what's being used for geographic, and what's being used for other external like third-party tools or sampling tools, and those can be applied applicably. The other thing that you also want to make sure that when you're using custom variable codes, because you are going to have to code each one of these appropriately, make sure not to use any special characters. So, within the codes, no commas, no hashtags, no spaces, no ampersands, percentages, or question marks. The notes, those kinds of things, sometimes we do use those as part of the custom variable coding outside, but within the code itself, we don't want you to use any special characters. And so one of the big things that we run into with users that are trying to use custom variables is that sometimes they will apply some sort of special character. Oftentimes, it's probably the space that we have a lot, so we will require you to go back and remove that space, and then you can use it as part of the custom variable codes. Other things you can also do with custom variables is that you can also map the custom variables. So instead of using custom variable 1 and custom variable 2, and you kind of have to do a guessing game in your head what it means based off of the list that you see below in the column, you can actually give it a real name. So for instance, changing custom variable 1 or custom 1 to department name, or a new code for that matter, will make it a lot easier for you to look at the data long term. I highly suggest to use this if you can. It's not necessary, although I do think it's good, especially if you're working on a team and you just want to make it very clear in terms of each column how to apply those. And I'll show you here in the live demo how to change your custom variables from variables to mapped variables, and update those codes as needed. So it's a really good thing that I would recommend to do once you've have your list, and then you've applied the codes, and you can update those directly inside. So let's go ahead and jump into some use cases. We wanted to highlight 4 of them that we see quite often from our customers. And so, if you are one of those people, very glad that you're here so that you can go ahead and begin applying this right away. So the first one is, I have a survey that I want to post on Facebook, Twitter, and on my blog, but I want to still know, or I would still want to know from which website the responses came from. And so a lot of times, people, will get a simple survey link, they'll send it out, but they don't know where the data is coming from. And nowadays, it's important to be able to add some sort of tracking capabilities. And instead of creating 3 separate surveys, one for Facebook, one for Twitter, one for your blog, and then having to manually put all that data together on the back end, you can just go ahead and apply what we call a either external reference or custom variable code to the URL itself, and then all goes into one survey, and then from the back end you'll be able to filter according to each of the websites that you've posted. So here's the solution. So for example, I have the survey above, just an example survey, and then I want to pass custom variables for each of the different websites. And so in order to apply those, the only thing that you'll need to add to the system to make this work is at the very end of the survey is to apply a question mark and then the custom number or custom 1. If you've mapped it, you want to put the code number, and then write what it is. So and then once you have this link is now live, and then you can post that link directly onto Facebook. Same thing with Twitter. So if you want to have custom 1, which is what website you posted it, on equals Twitter and you post it on Twitter, then you can have that note as well. And same thing with blogs. So it's pretty simple. You can apply multiple variables as well. So if you want to apply, you say that it's Facebook and it's a Facebook ad, or if you have a Facebook post and you want to see the differences between the responses from a Facebook post versus a Facebook ad, you can also apply different custom variables and then use those to filter as well. And the other option you can also do with this solution is that if you only have one variable, you can also apply an external reference ID that is basically only one variable that passes through, and you can use that later on for your segmentation and filtering. And usually I recommend, I usually say the custom variables are a little bit better, but in this case, you can also use external references as a segment that you can filter later on. And the way that you would apply that is just to have the custom link and then the note there to separate, or the spacing or the line, and then just put question mark external reference equals Facebook or other social media as well. So from the back end, you'll be able to filter, and we'll show you from the analysis side how to look at the data from these particular system variables that we are applying at this moment. So the next use case is a very common one, and it can be applied for anyone inside the business that has a list of customers with their email addresses. But in this case here, if you're in charge of the employee satisfaction survey, the HR department has an email list consisting of employees from different departments and wants to display the specific sections of the survey for respective department employees. And so, and this can be applied, like I said earlier, to any scenario. If you have a list of customers or employees and you want to customize the survey taking experience, show specific questions and answer options for certain groups of people within the survey, or you can also, you can make it simple and just keep that information in the back end and use that for analytics. And so the way to do that, it's like a 10-step process overall, but we break it down into two parts. One is pre-deployment, before sending out the survey or deploying the survey, and then it's the post-deployment where you're doing the analytics. And I'm going to go ahead and live demo all of this, but we'll talk through this first. So what you'll want to do is to go ahead and gather the list of employees, or your list of respondents that you're going to send out the surveys to, and then apply it by going to the email list, and you can create a new email list. And I recommend downloading from there the CSV example, and then selecting which advanced settings options that you'd like, especially if you have over, a lot of variables like 255 or more or whatever, then you want to make sure to update those settings and then save those. Make sure to check your list before you send it out, see if there's any bounced or anything. You can scrub those out before you send it out. And then after that, you can then apply your custom variables. And then from the analytics side, you'll be able to do some data segmentation through the live dashboard that we have in the real-time dashboard, through segmentation and filtering based off of the system variables that you've already applied previously. And you can also use the advanced data segmentation tool to filter, apply towards trend reports, online comparison reports, and more. And the last option, of course, is you can download the raw data via SPSS, Excel, CSV, and more if you need to export it as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and we're going to go ahead and jump in to the survey itself. And I'll show you where we set up a list. So here is a list, example of people that I have. So I've got their emails, first name, last name, and custom variables. And then I saved it as a CSV. And so the first thing you'll want to do is go into surveys, click send surveys, which is right next to the edit surveys, if you can see that. And then on the left side, you want to click on the word list. And then you can either open an existing list or you can create a new email list. So in this case, I can just go ahead and open up a specific list. You can enter a new name, or it can be specific to a survey or a global list. And then you can create a new list. And so from here, this is where you can download an example file so you know what to follow. Or you can browse to import if you have the list that's in the particular format that you know it should be. And if you are not sure what format you want, it really depends on the advanced settings. So open up the advanced settings so you can select the format that you plan to apply. And so if you need to see, it always starts with email address, and then has first name, last name, and these are all the different options. And the one that's probably most common would be this, this one here, or this one with the first name, last name. And so it's got many different options as well. And when you are applying or creating your list to upload in the system, each comma represents a column. So you'll want to make sure to apply those properly. So in my case, I'm doing this one, which is the email, first name, last name. And then if you go back to this, you can see it's email, first name, last name, custom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so once you have that, then you can go ahead and upload it here. And I have a list that's already uploaded, and you can see what that is. And we'll go back to that in just a second. Another thing you can also do from here is if you don't have a big list of custom variables, and maybe you have like up to three of them, you can also do a manual input. And so if you need to add, do a quick and dirty add, which is email address, first name, last name, and I believe you can do up to 3 fields, or maybe even 4. So that you can have up to 3 fields to 4, and then that just opens up all the different options. And you can also change those if you need to apply. So you don't always have to import it, but it's a lot easier if you have a list, a huge list, more than 10, to go ahead and import the contacts. But if you have just a few that you need to add, then this is a great place to do that. So let's go ahead and jump into the list that I created here. So you can see, you can also manage your list inside here. You can see who they are, and you can also add more to it if you need. If there's anyone that's bounced or duplicated, you can remove them from the list so that you don't get them sent out or have any issues with delivering surveys. So that's a good thing to do as well. So once you have your list and you've already uploaded it, and you've got it in there, and you've deployed the survey out through the system, which I have, and sent an email reminder, then you'll be able to jump in, which is the next section. Actually, before I do that, the other thing that you'll want to do is take a look at the variables. So we're going to look at custom variable mark mapping at this point. So after you add those, you can go back to edit on the left side, and then scroll over to variables, which is between images and notifications. So if you click here, this will open up system variables, and then you can choose to bulk add them according to this example below. So you can just pop those in for fun if you like, and apply them inside here and mark them as needed. or you can add them one by one. So each variable, you can display that as, so they have a team number, and then it's team 345. So anytime custom variables come through and it's applied, they'll also know that it's team 345. And again, with the codes and the display name, make sure that there's no spaces or any special characters, and then you go ahead and save those. I did have a different survey that had just a little bit more extensive stuff, so I'll jump into that real quick and show you what the variables here look like. So in this case here, I've applied, custom variable 1, 2, 3. I've updated the display name, and then the codes. So when you're applying the custom variable codes, instead of doing custom 1, 2, 3, I'm just using city, the abbreviation for department, or country as CN. And so that's how that's working as well. So once we have the custom variables, which are option with the mapping applied, and you've collected some data, the next part of that is to look at the reports. So the very first place that you can apply custom variables or system variables is in the live dashboard, which is in real time. And so what you'll do is go to the filter data, select system variables, and then select the custom variable that you want to apply. If it's a high custom variable, you can specify the name or the number, and then pull that up and then put in exactly the column. You want to make sure the spelling is correct. It's case sensitive. So you want, if there's any capitalized, make sure you say capitalized and whatnot. So in this case here, if I just want to look at custom variable 1, I've got a list of respondents with variables, and I want to see how many people from Portland had taken and completed the survey. I can go back to the survey and type in custom variable 1 with the code port, and then click enter. And now I can see out of my responses, 3 of them are from Portland, and then I can review the responses below. So that's one way to filter the data and look at it in real time. Another way that you can also do that is by going to the advanced analytics, which I believe is available for those who have at least corporate licenses or higher. And you can go to data segmentation, and then you can apply new filters. And so not only can you apply the system variables from here, but you can also apply it and build with other responses within the survey. So you can get very expansive. So if you want to know everyone who had said, how long have you been purchasing things from us, and you want to say, then the last, year or less. And then we also wanted to apply either a date range, but then also a system variable. And we also wanted to see, from there. Actually, let's try a different variable here. So in custom variable 4, I want to know how many of those people are in sales or marketing. So then I can go there, type in sales. So, and then you can also apply geolocation information, specify what list you want to pull it from. And if you're also running the survey on an offline tool, you can specify what device type you want to see this information on, and you can click save and save that filter, and you can see I've got 4 people that apply there that have answered, they've been purchasing things in the last year, and everything as well. So these are just all the different filters that we have. I believe that you could have up to 10 at a time, and from there you'll be able to also do some analysis in terms of comparison or comparing the analysis together. So if I want to compare my sales department to the marketing department, I can create those reports And then on the bottom here, use the online comparison report and then do a side-by-side analysis of the data and then get a real-time report available for them to review over and over. So that's pretty nice to be able to have that on a whim. Also, the other good thing about the data segmentation is that instead of having to download the raw data and then filter it automatically, you can use this tool and then filter it here, and then you'll have your report options to download it in either look at it from a dashboard, text, Excel, PowerPoint, or Word option as well. And so that is pretty nice from that standpoint. And if you just need to grab the data per usual, the major difference in the data is that you can download it as usual, and then you'll see in the variables that are used. So I'm just going to take this as an example, and this is basically what you'll get. The data will show in each of the columns what is applied to each of the respondents. So that really is, in a nutshell, how you do probably the most extensive way that to use custom variables. First of all, applying it to the list, and then deploying the survey, and then bringing it back and being able to analyze it and filter and segment the data based off of that information as well. So that is the biggest one. And if you have questions, feel free to post those in the chat, and I'll take a look at those here in a bit. So that is the second one. The third use case that we get is the survey administrator wants to pre-populate certain information in the survey from an email list so that each individual respondent will see their own information when they open the survey. So what that means is that, if you want to validate, like transactional information or their profiling information without having to ask them what it is, you can use custom variables to do that. And so it customizes that experience right away. So to apply that, what you'll want to do is have your list of custom variables or mapped variables uploaded in the system via the email list that I showed you, or through communities, or attached to the survey URL, which we had shown in the first use case. And then use the code either, which is the $sign with the squiggly, I don't know exactly what those are called, but the squiggly lines, and then you can use the word custom and then number, or the code, the mapped code, and then number or whatever, and apply those anywhere within the survey. So if you're using the variable mapping, use that custom mapping code that you'd applied. One thing we do want to note in this case is if you are using multilingual surveys, it does not apply well to multilingual surveys because it is pretty extensive. And so I would suggest, if you are using a more complex survey that has custom variables and you need a multilingual survey, to go ahead and create specific surveys for those languages so that your survey can be more customizable in that case. Or if you just want to create one survey, you may need to redesign the survey in a way so that the experience is still at the very top of mind, still customizable to what you need, but it may not be able to use those variables, so you may have to redesign and rework the questions as needed. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And so to apply that, let me show you in the survey that I have here. If I go back to Edit Survey, and you can see here, can you confirm that you work in Custom 2, from Department Custom 4, in Office? And you can say yes or no. And so it's as simple as just applying those items. If it's a custom mapping or variable, you would apply the variable inside here as well. So the experience should be, after I take the survey, that, whatever it was for me, it should apply here. I must have not added my name to it, so it didn't pop up. So, but it should apply there as well. So it's pretty simple, and you can also use these variables as needed within answer options, and then map those variables from the list into your survey pretty much at any point as you need. So that's how you would do that piece. The last most popular use case is how do I display answer or respondent answers from previous questions into the next series of questions and answer options. And this is very applicable to those who, if you can use it with the answer logic, but then you can also apply it either to the next survey question or even survey questions down the road. So it doesn't have to be immediately after, but it can be down the road. So being able to apply the custom variables within the survey is going to be key in order to be able to carry that information to additional pages in your survey. So to do that, what you'll want to do is apply logic to your answers. You go into the survey, edit, and then click on the logic icon, select the branching skip logic, and then for each answer option, select to the branching location, and then apply piping text as needed. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So this is what I have done to this question: how long have you been purchasing our services? And I click on logic, and I click on the skip pattern logic. And so in this case here, because I know that I've used custom variables for the first 5 custom variables for profiling information, I now want to apply the answer options to variable 6 and 7, or variable 6, and then also code those as well. So later on, when I'm going to the next question, in terms of piping or skip patterning, they can then see this exact custom variable with this option down below. So that's pretty much all you do there to apply the answers to a custom variable within the survey. And then the next survey is like, you can say, how often do your services over the past, 6 months, or 6 months to a year, or, 1 to 3 years. And so we're asking them, how much do they use these services within the time that they've been using those services as well. So that's how you apply, the custom variables within the survey to answer options. Again, the biggest part is to make sure that you're not overlapping or reusing the same variables, because if they have answer options applying to existing variables of profile information, then it gets overwritten, and then you lose that information that you'd originally added for profiling. So we don't want that to happen. So make sure that you note on your end, how many variables you're using for profiling information, how many variables you're using for survey answers, questions, and other options within the survey experience. And then, of course, being able to map those appropriately is how you would do the next piece. So that is custom variables. And I'm glad we're able to go over the top 4 ways that most of our customers use the tool. So I hope that you find it helpful and can begin using that right away. So let's go ahead and jump into probably the coolest thing that we've put out in such a long time, which is our new conversation forums. And these are available for everybody. You can access this on your site by going to forums.questionpro.com. Your username and password will be available to start filling out, beginning a survey, and you can get started. So basically, instead of the standard survey or evolution of going from pen and paper to the computer to mobile, the next thing we're bringing on is the use of conversations. So, humanizing the data collection process through making it feel more like text messaging and conversations is really where we're seeing a lot of this going nowadays. And we're seeing a lot of AI responding to the engagement for what that is. And so here's a quick look of what that feels like. So, thanks for visiting our website. Can I get your name? So it just has this nice, easy look and feel of a regular, chat box. But this information is being collected and used for insights. So it's in terms of the experience with gathering the data and looking at the data is still the same. So it's just a matter of presenting it in a totally different way. So if you have questions that have different answer options, multiple answer options, the person will have a chance to select their answers from the three below. So, how often do you conduct surveys? And then you just have an answer option with all these different ones right here. So it's really simple. And so again, what are conversation forums? It humanizes your website with intelligent conversation forums, brings a personal touch to a survey or a form. And it's shown to capture over 5 times more responses from the website or mobile device. And so we're changing the take survey experience into more of a chat-like conversation. And so, your website speaking to your visitor, it can now also listen as well. So you can start a conversation right on your website at specific points, depending on where they are in the survey or on their site, exactly where they are, and you can capture, what are they looking at while you are giving their information. So it's a really new way to do it. It's a less intrusive, it's more engaging, and people really respond well to it. It doesn't feel like an annoying chat box or an annoying survey or something like that. It really does feel like there's someone there listening to them when these things are open. And being able to gather feedback like that, it has never been easier. So being able to capture that critical user feedback even while they're browsing on the site. So even if they leave this Frasier Music site, we can still be able to gather some feedback. So they don't have to stay on one place to tell you how they feel about something, or you can still ask them a question without getting in the way of their browsing. And so that's pretty nice as well. One of the good things about this tool is that it is not only is it internet ready, but it is also mobile ready as well. So that means if you have a lot of traffic on both your online site and your mobile site, you can apply using the conversation forums in either place. And it doesn't take extra. It's the same code that goes both places, and the system is smart enough to identify what or where your respondents are at, and show them the appropriate model that makes it a good experience for them to give you feedback. So some interesting form features for you to consider when you're thinking of adding a conversation forum. First of all, it's very immersive when it's user-friendly in terms of answering the questions. It provides an immersive and intelligent view that is hard to look away from. So it's really easy. It's elegant. It's also a sticky stalker, which I like. Basically, conversations stick around as long as the visitor does, and as long as the browser is going through different pages on your site specifically, that conversation can be carried along with them, which is unique versus like if you're using a pop-up or polling. It's very stuck on just one site, and once you leave the site or leave that particular page, it doesn't necessarily follow them to that next page. And you can do that here. So as long as they're on your website and you're looking at different you're browsing different pages, the engagement can follow along without being intrusive. It's politely corrective. So if a user makes a mistake by entering a value that doesn't exist, the system or the bot politely informs them and asks them to re-enter the right option. So that means that, something in terms of if they click something, or maybe they typed in something with an option that doesn't appear to be there, then the system can say, hey, can you take a look at these answers again and just pick one of those? So it makes it really easy to have the user correct what they need to correct and send it back to you. Again, it is also mobile ready, and it's all ready, which we like to say. So whether you have a mobile site or an online site or anything like that, it's ready to start the conversations full view for mobile devices, and just it's ready and waiting for you to use right now. And it's all yours. So it's customization. You can configure the colors, the themes, and the aesthetics to make it, look like it's part of your website, any way that you like it. So in terms of coloring, you don't have to use the colors that we default to. It can be exactly what you need to make it a very cohesive experience. And it's really a deal closer. It's designed to be charmingly effective, and it's configured to get the maximum amount of responses from visitors. And I do believe that this is just a part of the AI experience. We're starting to see more VR and AR user experience in terms of engagement. And so even though in terms of adoption is fairly low, those people that are interested in doing engagement with technology, their engagement is extremely high, which is something that we're seeing with virtual reality or augmented reality. And so we are envisioning that surveys are going to want to create an even higher level of engagement, make it feel like a conversation. And we're already seeing that the response rates are quite high. So let's go ahead and show you, what you can do to get started on that. So all you need to do is go to forums.questionpro.com. You should be able to use your existing username and password. And then to create a survey, you just click on Workspace and create a new survey. And then it'll show you specifically what questions that you can apply. These are the question types that you can use in the survey right now, with potentially more to come. But in terms of the experience, we wanted to keep them fairly simple. And from there, once you've created your survey per usual, then we can go ahead and click preview. And then this is the really fun thing. So you can see, how many of these places have you visited in the past month? And then you can say, I've gone here, gone here. I have not gone to the gym, and click there. And then which gym are you most familiar with? And then just asking other questions. That's my NPS. I'm just going to say I don't like exercise. And that's your option. And then it just says thank you for your time. And then they can close out from there. So it's really simple. And then after that, from the analytics standpoint, you can jump over here and you can see the survey results by ID, and also the overall dashboard of the results are here. And you can also export the data per usual. You can look at the results here, change the system headers, and then also do some filtering. So this looks pretty familiar. If you're used to our dashboard, it's the same thing as well. And you can also change, filter, and share. as you need. And so, like I said, for those that are interested in conversation forms, you can start this right away. It is included with your license. It's a very unique and new way to take a look and gather feedback and insights. And if you have, any questions about how to use conversation forms, feel free to reach out to myself as well as our support team that's on chat and email, and we'll be happy to get you started as you kind of go down this route. So, a new way. I think it's very exciting. It's fun to look at. It's fun to experience. Try it online as well as on mobile, and see how your responses and your response rates are in comparison to a standard survey. So here's our recap today. We're just, we've gone over the top four ways of using custom variables within QuestionPro. We did an overview exactly what it is and what is the benefit of using it. And then also, just reintroducing the conversation forms to the attendees as well as those who've registered. And the last thing is that, with the training that we do each month, which is usually on the last Thursday of the month, we want to learn and know what you want to learn from us. So if you have any suggestions or things that you would like to learn from QuestionPro, we are very welcome to listen to what you want and apply it to the next schedule as needed. So feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can talk to anybody on our support team. So that would be a way to get started. So if you are someone that's new that has not used custom variables, or you're new to QuestionPro and you'd like to learn a little bit more about us and all of our capabilities, um, feel free to reach us at our sales line, which is sales@questionpro.com, or just go ahead and email me directly. I'm happy to answer any questions when it comes to surveys, designing, creation, deployment, analytics, as well as just looking at any specific things that you have been doing, and we'll make sure to give you the good information to continue your relationship with QuestionPro. So that is the conclusion today. Let me see if there's any questions from the audience. Okay. Okay. So it does look like we did have a few people that had an issue with logging in. They weren't able to hear um, the thing. So I'll be happy to send a copy of the survey to everyone or a copy of not just the survey, but also the recording of this training to everyone who's attended, as well as those who've registered, as well as a copy of the course that goes along with this. So before we leave, let me just show you exactly the new course that's going to be going along with this, so you can do an overview on your own of what custom variables are. So it'll teach you the basics, what are some practical applications of custom variables in a survey, uploads, pass-throughs, mapping, popular ways to use custom variables within the survey, and how to use custom variables for insights and data analysis. And so, we run through the survey experience, and you can click through and get some definitions. Some of these images probably look very familiar, don't they? Um, I like to make the courses fairly whimsical in nature. And you can see, how to upload if you're not using an email list, how to map the variables, and where else you can use it as well. And then popular ways to use the survey, and then personalizing it as well. And then, of course, data analysis, different ways that you can use field segmentations for data analysis. And then, of course, everything includes the help files from questionpro.com/help. So if you need, while you're actually applying custom variables, you can click through for detailed instructions and get additional information that goes into the more technical side of how to do things as well. So this will be included with the training today. So slides, recording, and the new course. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. But it looks like that we are now done. So I want to thank everyone who is with me today. And if you have any additional questions or would like to get started with custom variables or conversation forms, we are looking forward to seeing you on chat or answering any emails that come through to us. And we will continue working with you, and we'll be back again next month for an all new Keys to Success training. So thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.